Alright, what's going on, everyone? In this video, we are looking at the Monday Night Football showdown picks between the Rams and the Bucs. It is the start of Thanksgiving week. We have a big week of football this week. As always on Thanksgiving, we have 3-game slate on Thursday. We have a smaller slate on Sunday, and then we still have this Monday Night Football showdown. So, going to be a lot of football this week. Try to get videos out for all three of those things. So, let's get started. As always, appreciate you guys. Hit the like button on the video. Subscribe if you have not already. Starting off here, just looking at both sides, we have two of the top defenses in football this year so far. With the Rams have been very good defensively, and the Bucs, both teams are very good against the rush. Both are pretty solid against the pass as well. So it's going to be a chance it can be a low-scoring game, but both of these offenses do have a lot of firepower. The Bucs are basically all healthy now. They have two solid running backs. They have three of the top wide receivers. Three of the top 50 wide receivers in football with Brown, Evans, and Chris Godwin. And then the Rams on the other side, they have Kupp and Woods all in there. And then they've been playing Josh Reynolds a lot. And his price tag has come up a bit, but his targets have been pretty solid recently, 10, 9, and 8. And that's because they're running a lot more 3 wide receiver sets. And in a game like this where they're probably going to struggle to run the football, and now that they're splitting carries between 3 guys at running back, it's just tough to pick and choose the right one who's going to get into the end zone. So Cam Akers is the cheapest. He's $2,800 in the flex. He has gotten 10 and 9 carries the last 2 games. And early in the season, he wasn't even playing at all. So he's been getting into the mix. They have Malcolm Brown, who got 2 touchdowns last week and only had 8 touches. But he's been getting about 30% of the work. And then Henderson's been the main guy for most of the year. But recently, they've been splitting carries between Akers, him, and Malcolm Brown, so it's also tough for him. It's cut into his production. So, in a week where it's going to be tough against one of the best run defenses in football in the Bucs, I just don't see myself really going towards any of those 3, unless it'll probably be Akers just because he's cheap and if I need a salary saver. But in a similar range to Brown and Henderson, I just don't see myself feeling confident in them. I'd rather go to Fournette. At least he's only splitting carries with one other guy, not 2 other guys, and he's still gonna get some touches still in the 3rd down situations, passing situations most of the time. Jones is coming off of his best game of the season, busting out a 98-yard touchdown run. But I think Fournette still looks solid as a value play tonight. Both quarterbacks are pretty similarly priced. Tom Brady's over $1,000 more expensive. He's at home. He has shown more upside this year. Goff, they've been running the football a lot, but they're probably going to have to rely on Goff's arm a bit more. And Tom Brady, now that he has all of his weapons healthy, there were times when Godwin was hurt for a couple weeks, and Brown just made his debut a couple weeks ago. So he has 3 top wide receivers to throw the football to. He's solid tight end and Gronk. He has running backs. Everything's in place for Tom Brady to have a big week every single week. And going up against the Rams, even though one of those 3, probably Evans, will be shadowed by Jalen Ramsey, you still have 2 other guys that he can throw the football to and feel confident in. So I definitely think Tom Brady's the top play. Goff is fine too if you can get to him. If not, you can look at the wide receivers in Kupp, Woods, and Reynolds. Reynolds is the cheapest of the 3. He's been getting a lot more work. He's been dropping double digits in 3 of 4 games, just because he's playing a lot more snaps now. But you still have more upside in Kupp. I think Woods, you can make an argument to play Reynolds over Woods if you just need some savings, but he's still the 3rd in the packing order besides those 2. But if you need some savings, 68 for Reynolds looks pretty solid. And then on the Bucs side, you have Gronk, who has not been getting a ton of targets recently, but that's because they just have so many mouths to feed on that offense. But they do look to Tom Brady still likes to look his way in the red zone and near the goal line, so always going to have some upside with the touchdowns. I'm not that interested in Henderson at 58. Higbee, I think, is all right, although I'd rather go to Everett, who's only $2,600. I think just for savings, so I can pay up for some more guys. Suckup is a preferred kicker option just because he's attempted 22 field goals already. He's already had a couple weeks. In week 8 in that showdown against the Giants, he was in the optimal lineup, and the Bucs are going to be able to move the football against any team. So there's always going to be opportunities to kick field goals if they get stopped inside the 40, inside the 30. And probably going to see the cheapest I go to is probably Everett. I don't see Miller getting that much involvement now. He's a 4th wide receiver. Antonio Brown snaps are going up. He's not going to play that much, so Just gonna have to hope that he gets like 1 or 2 targets and makes the most of it. But other than that, I don't see myself going with him. I think Braid is viable, but he's also not playing that many snaps. But they do like to use him in some of the red zone work, like in the goal line, he can get some targets. So for that reason, he should be in your player pool. I think he's a better play than Scotty Miller. I don't see Miller getting into the end zone. And definitely have no interest in anybody else because LaShawn McCoy is not getting work. Van Jefferson is the 4th wide receiver. He doesn't get that much work either. You're going to just have to hope for like a couple of points, and that's probably not going to be enough, I think, unless one of those happens to be like a big play. And that's like really it. There's no other guy that gets a lot of work. So looking at some builds here, there's a couple ways to go. I think going at captain with Tom Brady is probably one that you might want to start with, just as how it looks. Brady, pair him with at least 1 or 2 weapons. I think Godwin looks the best right now, just because I expect Evans to be covered by Jalen Ramsey, and that should open up more targets for Godwin and Brown. I think I like them a little bit more than Evans. They're also both cheaper. I don't see myself getting to Ronald Jones at 88. That's just really expensive. People might chase that big week that he had last week, but not expecting 98-yard touchdown run. He also had another fumble, and sometimes we've seen Arians be quick to bench him when he does fumble early. That didn't happen last week, but if that happens again, if he puts the ball on the ground again this week, we could see Fournette be a bigger factor. So I do like Fournette just because he's cheap and he's going to catch some passes in DraftKings PPR. That is going to be pretty beneficial. And then I think we have 3 Bucs that I like. I think you can go with Jared Goff, pair him with a weapon like Reynolds, and then 4,100 left. Maybe look at Suckup as a kicking option. You got only 2 Rams in there. If you wanted to do a more balanced 3-3, you could take out Suckup and put in Cam Akers or Everett. Both are pretty similar. I think Everett gives you more upside in touchdowns because Akers are still not giving him the ball in the red zone. They've still been relying on the other 2 backs. So if his touchdown is going to come, it's probably going to come from a long touchdown. I just haven't been giving him the work inside the 10 and inside the 20. So I think Everett, and then with that, you can upgrade from maybe from Reynolds to Robert Woods or something like that. So that's one way to go. If you want to change it up at captain, I think other option at captain besides Brady, I think, is going with one of the wide receivers, because I could see one of the wide receivers have a pretty decent game. I'm not playing a running back at captain. Just probably not. I think Fournette would be that guy just because he's only 6,600. But I'd probably rely on one of the wide receivers, maybe like a Godwin. We'll try one with Fournette just to see how it looks. But go with Godwin maybe at captain try to get both quarterbacks in there, and Goff and Brady. Have 5,500 left. Still think Fournette's a good value at that price point. I think you probably want to get to maybe a Cooper Kupp. And then you could play Everett at 26, or you could play Akers at 28. We'll try one with Fournette at captain just because he's super cheap. And he's still been giving him a good amount of work. It's been up and down, but if Jones struggles or fumbles, then he can get you double digits pretty easily. He's still been getting a lot of work in getting the targets out of the backfield, which is nice. So try one with Fournette at captain. It's going to be pretty easy to put in both quarterback options. Probably going to want to get Godwin in there, maybe even be pretty easy to get Reynolds. Just going to miss out on getting Antonio Brown. We could probably go, instead of Godwin, put in Brown. And then Woods, we're down by $200. So we'll see if we can make things work and try to get to Godwin. Probably go a bit cheaper from a Reynolds to a Suckup or a Brown. Even though we're going to have to hope he gets into touchdown because he's one of the Rams running backs getting into the end zone. But I want to really prioritize getting the wide receivers just because I think they'll have they have a better spot than attacking 2 very good rush defenses on the ground. Could get to Gronk here. Could definitely get to Gronk and then play Antonio Brown at 78. So that looks okay. I kind of like how it looked with Tom Brady at captain, I think, the best. So probably go with Brady at captain, go with Godwin to pair him with. And then on the Rams side, we have a couple of guys that we can consider in Goff. I think he looks pretty fine at 51. I mean, at 98, you still have 51 left. But I think Reynolds at 68 just with the involvement that he's been getting good targets. He's pretty affordable, and that could see the Bucs focus on stopping Kupp and Woods, and Reynolds could get some more targets again tonight. So I think these three look pretty solid. If you want to go with the suck up, you can, or go with Everett at 2,600. I think both of those guys look pretty affordable, and you can pay up for more guys. But I think these three or these four are probably guys I'll build around on Draftkings. So let's look at FanDuel and see how they're pricing looking for tonight. All right, over on FanDuel at MVP, no surprise, Tom Brady is most expensive player on the slate at 16K. He's probably going to be the guy that everybody has like MVP, so it's just going to be the ownership game. If you want to pivot away from him, I still think he's the best play, just because I expect him to spread the ball around, even though one of those three wide receivers could get shut down. Probably will be Evans or whoever's going to be on Ramsey. I think it's going to be Evans, but he still has other guys that he can throw the football to, I think. Most of the time, he's going to be the highest scorer on the team, unless one of these wide receivers gets multiple touchdowns. So I'll probably start with Tom Brady at MVP. Goff is in play too at 14.5, but it's going to be interesting to see if you can get both guys in there and feel good about paying up for some of the other wide receivers. But I'd probably get Tom Brady with at least one or two weapons. And on FanDuel, I think Brown is the best play at 9K. Just tough. He's going to be, his snap counts have increased last week. He probably will increase a bit more this week. It's on the field in like all three wide receiver sets. And him and Brady have started to get some chemistry going. And I think at 9K, he just shouldn't be like $4,500 cheaper than Godwin. Shouldn't be even like $4,000 cheaper than Evans. I think all three are pretty similar. And when you get one guy $4,000 cheaper, he's definitely going to be my favorite. And then on the Rams side, Woods is more expensive than Kupp, and I think that's a pretty mistake. I think Kupp always has like a little bit more upside, and usually gets a couple more targets a game, and he's still been fine. Like Woods has been up and down recently. The problem with Kupp is that he's just not getting into the end zone, but definitely haven't seen Woods have a 20-target game this year, and I think that Kupp in the slot is going to have a better chance of having a better game than Woods on the outside. So I like Kupp. On FanDuel, I think Reynolds is in play at 95. I think Fournette is also in play at only $8,000. That's also super cheap for Fournette. So FanDuel, you have a lot of options because you even have Brown at 85, and you have Akers at 7K and Everett at 7K. So there are a lot of players on the slate that do have a chance to like get into the end zone. So it's going to be fun, I think, mixing and matching some of these guys. But I probably will stick to the wide receivers preferably, and then if I had to go with the running back, I think it would be probably Brown on FanDuel because they do like to use him in the red zone, and he definitely has some touchdown upside, even though he might not get a lot of yards on the ground. All you need is like a touchdown at this price tag, and it'll easily hit value. So Brown is in play. I like suck up a bit. Gronk is also cheap, so could just leave some money on the table and go with some cheap wide receivers and not have to pay all the way up for these top guys if you want to be different on FanDuel, but I think these three are guys I will probably start my lineup with. So that's kind of it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and best of luck tonight.